Hold up. Wait a minute. Bruh. Did you hit the like button? Drop some rabbits in the chat. Let's go.
Hit that like. Hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat. Hit chat. Hit that like. Hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. If you want the tea, come see me. Rabbit hole is the place to be for real news, not fake news. Celebrity news, breaking news around the clock. Real talk, best on the block. I rock, I rock, I rock, I rock. Real talk, best on the block. I rock, I rock. Hit that like, hit that like. Welcome to the chat, let's chit chat, chat. Hit that like, hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop some drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits, drop some rabbits, drop them, drop them, drop them, drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. True crime is my specialty. Exposed in the industry. Unsolved mysteries. Sticking to reality. Fair use commentary. Talking about cults. Trying to get results. Exploring hopes. Exploring, researching, debunking, investigating, being nosy, super nosy, being messy, being shady. Rabbit hole news. That's me, the chick with ADHD, unmedicated but quite educated. Hit that like. Hit that like. Welcome to the chat. Let's chit chat. Hit chat. Hit that like. Hit that like. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop some drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Drop some rabbits. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop them. Drop some rabbits in the chat. Drop some rabbits. Hit that like. Hit that like. Let's go. Let's go. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show. Let's start the show.
Hi, everybody. Welcome. Shout out to everybody in the chat. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Welcome. I wasn't sure if this was going to be a pre-recorded video, but I was like, I'm kind of here for the conversation in a live format, so we might as well do a live, right? Welcome, everybody. Make sure you guys are hitting that like button. Thank you for being here. How do you like that? It's kind of soft right now. It's echo. Let's see. The reason why I have the music, oh, my mic's not even on. Hold up, y'all. Hold up. My mic's not on. Is it on now? Is mic on now? Welcome. I think the mic should be on now. It wasn't on. I forgot that I was charging something else, and that's why I had to turn off the mic. Her mic is on. Is my mic on, y'all? Isn't it? Is now. Can you guys hear the soft music at the very end? Should be very soft. It should be very subtle. Shouldn't be too crazy. Perfect. Sorry, I was charging my Fitbit. That's why the mic was disconnected. You heard me the whole time? Okay, perfect. Yeah, it's kind of loud. A little bit subtle and everything. All right. So let me say this, okay? I was going to make this into a pre-recorded video, and, you know, there's opportunities for it, right? I'm not a big, you guys know that I don't really, you know, I dig into the things that I want to dig into, but somebody left me like the longest message they emailed me, and then they left me a comment about this specific commentary of this. She's a political commentator. Her name is Brett Cooper. She's 23 years old, very young, smart woman who, you have nearly 100,000. Get your tech together. Well, Blondie Time, why don't you help me out, girl? Lord have mercy. The mic was unplugged. My God, I don't have a boss. Are you my boss? I swear to God. Let me, thank you. Go take a nap. Maybe you need a Snickers. Yeah, she used to work for the Daily Wire. You're right. You like her? Okay, so we're going to talk about her real quick, okay? Britney Spears shouldn't lose her. Look at already you guys are coming on fire. It's going to be the question, okay? The audacity. I'm telling you, people are coming in hot. You have 100,000. Fix your mic and your electronics. I'm like, girl, who are you? Take a nap. You'll be all right. Have a Snickers. She's probably hungry because I was, every time I don't eat and I got like low blood sugar, I get a little snippy, a little bitchy. Like that's me, right? So maybe she needed a little Snickers. You said unplug your mic for the rest of your stream in their honor, right? Lord have mercy. People want to tell me what to do. I'm like, girl, do you even pay my bills? No, you don't. Okay, anyways. That was funny though. That was funny. Oh my god. And then she goes, say, get it together. You got your face is all crazy. It is. All right, let's have a conversation, okay? So somebody messaged me. They left me like the longest comment about this specific young political commentator. And they're talking about Britney Spears specifically. I said, do I want to do this as a pre-recorded or do I want to do it as a live? What do I want to do, right? I know some of you guys, at least for my channel, very early on, I reported on the Britney Spears stuff, like right when it was happening, but I don't feel like I dug into too much of everything, right? Like there's a lot of people, like for example, BJ, she did a pretty good, she owned that, deep dive of all that. So shout out to her. But there have been other aspects that have been, exposed as things have come out regarding Britney Spears. Different things have come up. People have been very quick to want to throw conservatorship. They see this woman dancing. Sometimes she got knives when she dances. Sometimes she got, she's doing her thing. She might have, some underwear on or something. She's doing the thing, okay? As a 40 plus year old woman, Britney Spears is doing her own thing and minding her own business, but yet the people, they're very focused on her, right? She's a celebrity. So there's that, right? So this political commentator, Brett, I think has a family member who struggles with mental health illnesses, okay? And I think she's coming from that in that angle. I think it's fair to know. Did you close this? Thank you. She's coming from that angle of like, I have a family member that suffers from mental health and, this is important to me type of situation, which, absolutely. I think that when you have somebody, Lord have mercy, this is loud. When you have somebody in your family who has any kind of mental health struggle, very severe, you're going to have people that, you're going to have a different take of it. It's absolutely correct. So, let's get it together. Let's listen to her commentary. And I want you guys to tell me your thoughts in the comments.
Spears and Trump's latest executive order have a lot in common, and we need to talk about it.
Hold up. Let's go back. I might have fast forward this one a little too quick. Okay.
So Britney Spears and Trump's latest executive order have a lot in common, and we need to talk about it.
Okay.
So I know that comparison might shock you guys, but I promise there is a reason that I am making the connection here.
Lord have mercy. Okay, Blondie, did you just come back with like another account? Talk about sensitive. It was actually a compliment. Good luck getting to 100,000 with that attitude towards being overly sensitive to random chatters. Okay. Did you come back on another account? Girl, nobody's randomly sad. You're the one telling me that I needed to get my shit together when I'm just going to talk about this. Who's sensitive? If you weren't sensitive, you wouldn't be coming back on another account. Girl, take an exit. It's okay. You're fine. Thank you. I'm not sensitive. I've moved on. Do y'all see that? That's a second account. You know when somebody kicks you out of their house? They're like, girl, like, maybe you need to go home. And then you come back and you're like, wait a minute, girl, just because you change your clothes doesn't mean that you need to come back with like a different change. That was cute. Anyways. Oh my, what are you talking about? Yeah, she's giving Linda. She definitely is giving Linda. And then, anyways, let me stop. I know. Then you come back with the Mickey Mouse. Did y'all see that? I thought it was just me. Oh my God. She did. Shout out to her. Listen, I no shade. I just think she needs to take a 24-hour nap. Good night. Okay, let's get it together, y'all. I swear that was distracting. I was like, you just came back. Okay, let's go back.
So, Britney Spears and Trump's latest executive order have a lot in common, and we need to talk about it.
What could that be? I wonder.
So I know that comparison might shock you guys, but I promise there is a reason that I am making the connection here. Now, to give you guys some context, last week, Trump signed a new executive order called Ending Crime and Disorder on America's Streets. I believe he signed it on July 24th. And
he did. If you guys know anything about it, put it in the chat. I had to look up, just get some understanding of it. Let me know what you guys think about it if you know anything about it.
And to basically sum it up for you guys, this EO, it promotes the commitment of homeless people with severe mental health and addiction problems into like mental institutions and facilities. And it directs his team and the government at large to reverse rules that have been restricting this for decades. It also gives funding priority to jurisdictions that impose strict rules on homeless encampments, drug use, squatting in our American cities, etc. And it opposes federal funding for safe drug consumption and housing first initiatives that do not address the root problem of homelessness. And I was so excited to see this take shape. I think that all of this is incredibly positive. I cannot believe that a president has to oppose federal funding using our hard-earned tax dollars to oppose safe drug consumption on our streets. I mean, that just seems like common sense, but I'm really grateful that this is something that he is doing. Now, of course, when this executive order rolled out, the media immediately lost its mind. But if they had been paying attention to Britney Spears and the Free Britney movement and everything that has transpired since then, they would know that some kind of executive order like this was coming and that it is a logical step forward. So let's dive in.
Okay.
But before we talk about that, make sure that you like this video and subscribe to our channel if you've not already. And of course, ring that notification bell to make sure that you stay up to date on all of our latest episodes.
So check her out if you guys, I'm sure some of you guys are already subscribed over there. I mean, she is like in the millions. Pretty sure everybody's subscribed. Tico Tits, thank you so much for the 49. All right, I did a deep dive on the A handles. Apparently, YT's trying to make it so mobile users could tag, but messed it up. Gotcha, Tinkle Tits. Thank you so much, Tinkle, for the support. I love it. Okay, let me hit play. I got you. Lilo the Stitch. Listen, we're doing commentary on her opinion, so you guys are entitled to your opinion when it comes to this. I'm just letting y'all know what's being said in the comparison that she makes to Britney Spears, which I think it's like a complete fallacy in my opinion, but let's hear her out, okay? Let's hear her out, y'all.
And if you want to stay in the know about future live events, maybe new merch, fun things like that, you can go to brettcooper.com. That is the hub for all of that information. All right, so back to the story. Basically, what you need to know is that the Free Britney movement was a mistake. I completely believe that it was a mistake. And I think that there is a lot that we can learn from it, not just
the Free Britney movement was a mistake. Was the Free Britney movement a mistake? Let me know in the chat. Listen, she said she's not holding back. She said the Free Britney movement was a mistake. Y'all hear that? Already immediately. Let me know what y'all think, okay?
And looking at Hollywood and Britney specifically, but at our society at large and our mental health crisis at large. And I'm not sure, what broke Britney. We talked about Britney a lot in our Justin Bieber series. We touched on her a bit. I think I've talked about her in other episodes. But obviously, as a child, as a young woman, Britney was worked like a racehorse. She was hounded by the paparazzi in the media.
That might have broken her for sure. I mean, there's a lot. Britney has disclosed herself in her book, the various things that she went through. She disclosed that her family has some, I think it was her grandmother's side, has some mental health as well. But let Brett speak.
Yeah, at a time when that was the norm, her children were hounded. I mean, her life basically fell apart and we all watched, and the media played a huge role in that. And obviously all of those things exacerbated any existing problems that she might have, already been dealing with behind the scenes. But the uncomfortable truth is that now 4 years after the Free Britney movement was successful, we know that she is not well. We see that online every single day. Now, just as an example, if you do not follow Britney Spears on Instagram, which I don't know if I would encourage that you do. I was about to say that, but maybe don't. It's just a very, very odd trip on a daily basis. But in case you don't follow her, one example is that in a very oddly written Instagram post, Britney announced that she had just adopted a baby girl. That was not true. The media was reporting on it. Like, what does she mean? She just adopted.
I think Britney Spears, and let me know if you guys agree with me or not. I think she tends to troll the people sometimes. And what I mean by that is like she'll say things that you're like, oh, is that true? Or what's going on? Yeah, I think so. E Broccoli, what you just said, the girl is, shout out to her. She's 23. She knows her stuff. She's very solid. Like, I like the way in which she's framing things. Let me be very clear, okay? But I'm gonna say this. I do feel like there's a little bit of a difference here, right? Like, yeah, you can't go. I think Britney, in my opinion, tends to like give a little bit of what the fans want to see, and then she has people that support her. So, oh yes, honey. So yeah, I mean, we get a little bit of everything when it comes to her. But Britney Spears is of a different generation. She's a little bit younger, but I don't know. I don't want to judge it too harshly. I'm just saying. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, okay? This is what she said.
Adopted this girl. No, she was actually what most people think. She was speaking about these baby dolls that she has that she carries around. And so the media has now been able to put the pieces together and say, I think that is what she meant. Her team came out and said, no, she did not adopt anyone. Sorry. That was, not what she was trying to say. And that was just like the tip of the iceberg. She has also had multiple wellness checks over the last couple of years since getting out of her conservatorship, which was the reason why the Free Britney movement was started in the first place. And one of those took place after she posted multiple videos of herself dancing with knives. Just
let me tell you something. Somebody who has gone through the trauma that she's been through, yeah, she's gonna have multiple, like that's pretty normal, right? Like, I'm a little worried about how she's framing this here. Like, listen, we've seen her and she's got a lot of people calling mental health crisis center. Okay, yes, people are concerned and they're gonna call. Anybody can call a mental health, the crisis line for somebody else. Shakira dances with fire. Y'all don't see her. People calling on 911 on her, right? This is what she does. And I'm not saying that it's not dangerous, but I also feel like the girl's worked her life and whatever she wants to portray on social media. But what I find so interesting is that we heavily guard our social media to see what she's doing every 5 seconds. Dreamhouse says, I've had my rights taken away and mistreated in the system. It's horrifying. Imagine 13 years. It's a free country to whoever wants to be. Dreamhouse, thank you for the $5. And I couldn't agree with you more. I agree. I feel like because she's a celebrity, we pay very special attention to the things that she does or doesn't do. If she's got a fake baby doll, which by the way, I've seen ads of those on Instagram where you can get like a little baby doll and it looks like really real. You're like, man, this thing has like the features are real. Maybe she's trolling people, right? Like anybody can get a mental health crisis line. It just happens to be Britney. That's why this is happening the way that it is. If it was Joe dancing with knives, it would be a mental health call for the person. It just happens to be Britney Spears, y'all. Okay? And we can't minimize. And this is where I feel like people need to put themselves in a situation where it's like, be open-minded about the fact that we can't minimize things like this, right? In terms of like, what her trauma was. We don't know what that was. She writes about it, but we truly don't know what she went through. She hasn't gone out and, purchased a gun and done different things with it, to off people, right? But we're worried about her dancing with knives. Is she stabbing people with them? What is she doing? Not much of a childhood. She didn't. But we didn't lock those people up that raised her, right? Period. Period. They didn't lock Britney up when she was dancing with the damn boa. Y'all remember that? So anyway, so I wanted to put this into perspective, but okay.
Take a watch. So she posted this online, and it prompted a wellness visit to her house. Multiple wellness visits. Now, just...
Yeah, I mean, they did, right? That's okay.
To drive the point home even more, another example is when things just started randomly burning down in her house, like her gym and her bathroom, and then her fireplace randomly exploded, burning off her hair and her eyebrows. Now, guys, like, these fires, the dancing with knives, the saying that you adopted a daughter when really you are just carrying around baby dolls, I cannot believe I have to say this. These are not normal incidents. These are not normal happenings unless you are somebody who knows somebody or lives with someone with a severe mental illness.
But you notice it because she's Britney Spears, right? Otherwise, you notice it because she's Britney Spears. I just noticed, like, right now, a significant amount of trolls. And I don't know if it's because we're talking about Miss Brett over here, that people felt some time. Like, I literally just noticed a significant amount of trolls. But yeah. Yeah, it's not normal, but it's not illegal either. Thank you for saying this. You're absolutely right. It's not normal, but it's not illegal. She burned herself. Hopefully she got medical attention for it. Like, what else are we supposed to do? But I bet you if it was a Las Vegas performance, and so as long as people are getting paid for her to burn herself, that would be fine, right? That would be okay. That would be justified because she's under a conservatorship. Nobody called 911 or anything like that because it's fine as long as the people are getting paid. Am I hearing this correctly? As long as she's performing like a monkey in a circus, it's all good. People are aligning their pockets. But okay, again, we're paying attention because it's Britney Spears.
Then unfortunately, like for people like me, that might ring a bell. And while her father, Jamie Spears, who was her conservator for, I believe 13 years or more, based on what we know, he allegedly took advantage of his role as her conservator. But that does not mean that Britney did not need that kind of support, that she didn't need to be in some sort of situation that was like a guardianship. Because now, as I look at her story, years down the line after the Free Britney movement took place, I see a lot of parallels to my own life. Now, I think most of you guys probably know this, but I have a brother that struggles with severe mental health issues. He is a diagnosed schizophrenic, and he is actually in a guardianship with me and my mother.
This is a real thing. When you have, I've had family members with schizophrenia in my family, and it's a real, it's a very sad situation. It's a very delicate situation. It is manageable. So as long as, but it requires constant care. It does require, your support system to be intact. When it comes to things like this, it requires medication. It requires a lot of follow-up and everything. This is important. So for her, I understand where she's coming from with this because I also see myself in that. I get this. I get it. So let me go ahead and hit play on this.
And from what I've experienced and what I know about this system and, this situation that I am in, guardianships and conservatorships, they are not inherently evil or abusive. We often hear about conservatorships gone wrong. And I think that there are a lot of, conservatorships where the power can be abused and people can be exploited. But these...
Talk about them. Talk about the one that's going on with Free Wendy right now, with Wendy Williams. Talk about that. Talk about why they have been used to hurt people. I'm a social worker, right, guys? I'm a graduate level social worker. I worked in government for 10 years. I want to know, you got to talk about this. You have to talk about how they've been used to hurt people. Because I don't think that if that was the intended use, right, of it, it doesn't work that way, right? You don't get to take somebody's rights away. You don't. Leave Britney alone. She's been through enough. Thank you, Nicole. Nicole, is that for me? I hope you're not telling me to leave her alone. we're talking about her commentary. Thank you so much. I hope you just get here. Thank you, Nicole, for the $9.99. I appreciate it. Thank you. But that's what I'm saying. It's like we can't just say they're we've been told they're evil. We'll talk about what made them evil. Talk about that. Give us the scoop. Give us the history.
Situations, they are actually very, very difficult to obtain. You have to prove to the court that this person needs your support, that they need this kind of protection. And many of these situations can actually be incredibly life-saving, and they are actually very protective of both the family that is involved, the guardian, and also the person who is struggling. But, if one person in the situation is mentally ill, they might not see the situation as being that way. They might not see it or understand it as actually being for their benefit. For example,
okay,
Britney, in her testimony when she was trying to get out of her conservatorship,
it really depends on where they're at cognitively. I get where she's coming from here. There are those situations where somebody is like so far off in psychosis that it's so hard to kind of bring them down, and it does require medication, and it does require, but there's a level of patience that people have to have. And the thing about mental health in America, guys, is that the system is so effed up. We have two separate systems. We have our healthcare system and then our mental health system. And when we learn and realize the fact that if you're not right in the mind, you can't possibly be right in the body, right? So both of them have to be working in conjunction. We're just not there yet. We haven't been there for many, many years. Okay, so that's the problem. But you know what? Somebody like Britney Spears, who has resources and money, she's able to get the help and support that she needs. But somebody like myself, who might have a relative who's struggling with mental health issues, I might not be able to connect my people to the right resources right when it needs to happen, right when the psychosis is happening, because it's just not meant for us regular people to get that kind of help. And you're absolutely right. It depends on the individual. Absolutely.
She also wrote about this in her book. She talked about her father not letting her drive and how that was, an infringement upon her freedom. She wanted to be able to go where she wanted to and drive and be in her car, literally be in the driver's seat. But what she failed to mention at the time and in her testimony, yet she wrote about it in her book later, is that she almost drove her car off of a cliff. That is why her ability to drive was taken away from her. In her book, she writes, "We were driving fast near the edge of a cliff, and I don't know why, but I decided to pull a 360 right there on the edge. I honestly don't even know. I didn't know that I could do a 360, and it was completely beyond me, so I think it was God. But I stuck it. And the back wheels of the car stopped on what seemed like the very edge. If the wheels had rotated maybe 3 times more, we would have gone off the cliff. I looked at him, he looked at me. We could have just died," I said. "I felt so alive." That is not normal.
No. But you know what else is not normal? Is how she's writing in her book. Britney Spears basically poured her heart, and maybe she told everything or maybe she didn't. But she used that opportunity to open up about maybe aspects that some people did not know, that she went through a situation like this, right? She opened up about it on this book. And what do? We go back and we embarrass her. Well, hold up. You didn't say this on this time. This isn't how this car accident happened. It happened this way, right? So we weaponize what she said here versus what happened here. And that's not normal. That right there is not normal, guys. But girl, you're not reading the rest of the chapter. You're not reading the rest of the page. They were trying to get away from paparazzi. Okay. Again, this is a situation that she has always had to escape people, and not excusing her behavior. But I think it's important that she's opening up about a situation that happened to her here. Okay. And then we use this to kind of like embarrass her. Maybe, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comments.
That is not a normal feeling. That is not a normal thing to do. If my brother almost drove off of a cliff, yeah, I'm sorry, he would not be allowed to drive anymore. I'm saying, no, I'm sorry, this is not something that you are able to do at this moment in time. Like, if I knew what I know now that I am in this situation, now that I have literally seen the court system, now that I am a guardian in this situation, I don't think that I would have ever supported the Free Britney movement that unilaterally painted one arrangement and one system as the villain and painted another person as just unilaterally sane. And I regret ever being behind it, and I regret ever supporting it, because dealing with somebody who is schizophrenic, dealing with somebody who is severely mentally ill.
Well, Britney Spears is not schizophrenic that we know of. That's not what she has said, right? And Britney Spears is not your brother. You got to put things into compartments when it comes to things like this, when you're making comparisons. But okay. It's an extreme comparison, I'll say that.
And loving them and caring for them and wanting them to be the best that they can be, but also be safe and, protect yourself. Like, that is not a traditional, it is not a black and white, it is not a straightforward experience, nor is the experience that that person is having in their own minds. Therefore, why on God's green earth do we assume that we can simply offer cash and, motel rooms and just empathy to the millions and millions of homeless Americans, the mentally ill Americans, and just expect this problem to go away? Now, the Free Britney movement.
Now, I do agree with this point that she's making, that just throwing money to mental health isn't always the solution. I can agree with that. But we just went from Britney to leaping into this. And I'm still failing to see the connection as to why the Free Britney movement was a huge mistake. And how that relates. Like, she's got her own situation, I get that. But I'm failing to understand how that connection is made right there. Maybe I lost it. Maybe this is it. Like I said, I watched it twice. I said, what am I missing here from this logic? I don't know, but maybe you guys can fill in the chat and let me know what we're missing here.
And now it's fallout should be a lesson to Americans as we fight our homelessness crisis. And I'm sure you guys are wondering, like, Brett, how does this even connect? Like, Britney Spears is not homeless. What is the leap that you are making here? I promise you there's a point. But before we get into that, I want to take a break to tell you about my sponsor over at Paleo Valley. So guys, Paleo Valley, these are not the meat sticks that you grew up with. Paleo Valley.
Let me stop with the paleo stuff. Okay, hold up. Let's move on.
Thanks to Paleo Valley for sponsoring this episode. Now, to get back into the point, the reason why I am stringing these two stories together and trying to use this as an example is because the majority of homeless individuals in the United States are mentally ill. And this is a fact that people often overlook or intentionally hide and brush.
Yeah, the majority of the people that are incarcerated right now are mentally ill. That's, I would say, an accurate statement. The chat is not moving. I don't know if there's something going on with YouTube. Let me know. Hold up. Let me double check something, because the chat is not moving. I don't see anybody moving in the chat. Give me 1 second, guys. Like, is it just me? That's not normal. Are you guys, yeah, the YouTube's not moving. Are you guys okay? The chat is not working anymore. Oh, I think the chat is frozen. Let me see what everybody's saying on Discord. Let me time out real quick. Okay. The chat is not moving. Oh, the chat is stuck. Okay, perfect. Well, we're going to keep talking about this. Hopefully the chat will catch up at some point. Just needed to check something because the chat stopped moving.
There are a lot of big nonprofits and organizations who say, no, this isn't a big issue. These are just people that are down on their luck. This isn't, no. They're not severely mentally ill. I'm sorry. Have you been to Los Angeles? Have you been to San Francisco? Have you been to Nashville, honestly? Nashville has a huge homelessness problem. And these are not people who are living in their cars trying to find, a new job, down on their luck. This is mental illness, and the statistics, the hard facts back this up.
Again, we have a lot of incarcerated people with mental health issues too. Okay? That is a given. That is a given. How did I break the internet? Everybody on it's stuck. Chat is working on our end. Okay. I don't see it, but let me go ahead and hit play. Then literally it's stuck.
Is a This was a study done in 2024. 2/3 of unhoused people have mental health disorders. There was another one done in this was 2021, and they found that the mean prevalence of any current mental disorder within the homeless community was estimated at 76%.
Okay.
That is the second study that we have here. Now, guys, growing up, I was taught that homelessness was just people who were down on their luck, basically what I was just talking about, lost their jobs, they needed a leg up, they needed to, we needed to give them the boot so that they could pull themselves up by their bootstraps. That is not the case anymore.
Okay, let me stop right here. And I know that the chat is stuck, but can you guys relate to that? Were you taught growing up that homelessness or homeless or the unhoused population, which is really the term that should be used, is that really people that are down under their luck? Because that's not how I was taught. And maybe part of it is when you are in the working poor, like a lot of us were raised in the working poor, right? Meaning that your parents, or maybe you didn't have both parents, maybe you had one parent. Parents had to have multiple jobs to raise you, to educate you, to provide food in the household. So technically I would have fallen, and a lot of you guys would have fallen under that poverty line, right? So for me, it's like I was never taught that these are people that are down under their luck. It just seemed like, in my opinion, at least the way I was told, is that, you have a little bit more than this person. And if you have means to give it, you give it. That's how we were taught. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. And the comments are stuck, so there isn't a whole lot that you can tell me in the comments. And it's just stuck. I don't know what's going on. Let me hit play.
I actually don't know if that was ever the case, because if you have not been to Nashville, if you've not been to San Francisco or Los Angeles, these are the types of people that you encounter living on the streets. Take a watch. That, what we just saw, is mental illness. That is
Wow. Did you guys ask the guy if he was okay? Yeah, now the chat is working. There it goes. Oh my goodness. And I skipped all this. Let me shout out some people. Dreamhouse says, think about it. It is normal for her, but look at her career. Her normal is different, and she felt alive when she was in control by being out of control. Period. Right there. Thank you so much, Dreamhouse, for this. Nicole, thank you. Is she a doctor? What gives her the right to speak on Britney Spears' condition? I think that's a great example. And I think she's speaking from it, or at least a great question. She's speaking from it in the sense of, like, what's the word? I have a brother with mental illness. Therefore, I see this in a different light. And like I said, I can understand and appreciate that side of her, because I think that, when you have somebody that's living with mental illness, it's very hard to care for. Yeah, like I get that. But there's so many moving parts to this situation. To show a video of a man that's clearly has a condition, okay, whether it's physical or mental, whatever it may be, it's just not enough. It's just not enough to say, here's a man with a mental health illness. What's his name? What happened? What does he need? Does he need you to help him out there? It seems off, but I don't know. Y'all let me know what you guys think. Yeah, is he having a seizure? Now I'm seeing the comments. Tinkle says, does money unfreeze? Let me find out. Oh my God. Like, I'm just now catching up to the comments, guys. There's a level. This is what I don't get. Y'all let me know. And I meant this. If you were taught growing up, and this is maybe where a lot of us might have a difference of opinion. When you live in poverty, which is whatever that guideline is, sometimes you don't even notice it. Does that make sense? You don't even notice it. But if you lived in a household where at least, okay, parents worked full time or whatever it may be, you did what you had to do, you may not notice various things, and a lot of things go ignored, right? So her perception is a little bit different than maybe what mine might be, maybe what your guys's might be. Let me know. Many of the time, the homeless don't have a family support system, and that's all they need. Maybe They worked all their life and they can't get their SSI together, whatever it may be. Like, there's so many stories. And that's the thing that I'm like, she's young, she's 23. The parallel comparisons to Britney Spears just didn't jive for me. But what really got to me was you could tell that she hasn't been out in the world enough to speak on this piece. My opinion. But okay, let me go ahead and play this.
And who was sitting on the street and he was punching his face until his knuckles started bleeding. Now, the man who posted that video and was speaking there, that was Kevin Dahlgren. He is an amazing journalist. You should follow him on X. He has a great Substack. He does incredible work reporting on homelessness and helping individuals like this man. And he often posts things like this. This is another video that he has shared. These are the people that he encounters on a daily basis. He was just walking on the streets and he saw somebody who was completely topless and then somebody who had no pants on with their genitals completely exposed. Again, that is mental illness.
Could it be addiction too? Could it be both? Could it be a dual situation? We don't know. We don't know what it is. Look at this. I just got, and this is a real thing. I just got a letter from SSA. It's going to be 8 months before we know if my wife is accepted. I'm the only one making money, not sure for how long. This is we are the working poor, y'all. Okay. I recommend you guys to read a book. I read it's a book. Y'all know how when you read a book and you know it really means something that you still remember it. I mean, I read it in 2010, The Working Poor by David Shipler. And literally, it was like this man was telling me my life, right? And the way in which I grew up and the story, the fact that, you know, we're working every day. We might have a negative account number on our bank account, but we're making it happen. Okay, so there's a difference here. There's something's off about the situation. And I get where she's coming from, but you cannot compare that kind of poverty to Britney Spears, who has the resources, or to even her. She might have the resources to address her brother's mental illness. There's differences. How are you putting Britney Spears in this label with these unhoused individuals and what you're watching here? It's so crazy to me how people didn't even find this to be an issue. Anyways, let me hit this way.
Now, in a recent post, Kevin said, me and a homeless man got him to stop. That is when he was talking about the man who was punching himself. And as a thank you, I got him a Dr. Pepper. This man refused help and then walked away. In all actuality, this is the important part. We don't have a homelessness crisis. We have an addiction and mental health crisis. Kevin's page every single day is full of videos and stories like this. These people are not well. They are also not safe, and they will not be fixed, or become functioning members of society with the current government and nonprofit initiatives. Like in California.
When you do that, when you say these people, you remove yourself so far from the problem, right? And maybe she is far removed. If she's only looking at this aspect from the mental illness side because of her brother, she's missing a whole different thing as far as, you know, the fact that it's not just mental illness. It could be addiction. It could be other problems. It could just very be that somebody was one paycheck away from being poor, you know, from being in that situation. And what do? They went out there and they said, I cannot deal with this. And I have to go shoot up. I got to go smoke this or do that. There's a difference, y'all. Okay? There really is. Let me hit play on this.
Where in the last 5 years since Gavin Newsom came into office, they have spent $24 billion on homelessness. That is since 2019. And guys, the situation is unsurprisingly unchanged. Like nothing has gotten better, probably because they have simply focused on just housing initiatives with which more often than not, individuals like the people that we just saw in those videos refuse for various reasons. Whether it's because they have no desire to live in a home, they want to be homeless, they get more money from the state if they're homeless, or because because it would require them to, get clean and pick themselves up to be functioning members of society.
These stereotypes. Like, I'm like, oh, Lord have mercy. My head is itching. But go ahead, girl. Go ahead.
Would require them to take that step if they wanted to get into a certain shelter, and they are not willing to do that. They either can't or they're unwilling, which is the case that I personally am up against every single day. It is the problem that our state is up against every single day. Now, additionally, these motels, these interim housing, these shelters, they are often completely unequipped to deal with the severity of the mental health crisis that exists on our streets. Like this woman here who has permanent housing and yet chooses to go sleep on the streets. This is another one of Kevin's videos, again, just explaining why the system does not work with these types of mental health crises and these types of individuals. Just watch.
Behind me is a woman sleeping on a sidewalk. It's very easy to assume that she's homeless, but she is not. She actually has permanent housing. She was given this permanent housing about a year ago, but she comes out here every single day to sleep on the sidewalk because that's all she knows. So this is an example of someone who was never prepared to be indoors. No transitional plan. Now that she's in housing, she doesn't have any support. There's no case management. There's nothing to help her break that cycle of knowing nothing but the streets. So this is where she is every day. Now, a person who walks by or a tourist will just assume she's homeless because she looks homeless, but she is not. And that is a very misleading thing. And so walking through downtown Portland, you see a lot of people that appear to be homeless, but they actually have housing. So what I'm trying to say is that oftentimes the crisis, the homeless crisis, is not as bad as you think. There's actually a lot of people that live indoors.
Wow.
Now, in response to this video, as a reply on X, Kevin wrote, "This is the homelessness industrial complex. They get money to house the person, like this woman, but they also get money to treat the same person that is sleeping on the streets. They can get away with this because there is literally no oversight or tracking tools to show us exactly what the hell is going on." So we obviously need a solution. We need a solution to the problem at large, and the families of those with severe mental illnesses know this better than anyone because
So this is where I'm missing this, okay? What does this have to do with Britney Spears, who has the resources to whatever the hell she wants to do? If she wants to dance with knives, she can do that. And this is where I'm like, okay, can we go back to the beginning and how you made that connection and how that had happened? I'm not really sure, right? And what data do you have to support any of the stuff that you're putting out here? Or the man that was walking down there filming the homeless people, which, by the way, there's a lot of channels out there. Hey, Soft White Underbelly being one of them, right? That utilizes their stories for certain propaganda, right? We've seen it time and time again. How is that guy any different than Soft White Underbelly? You're filming them right in their most vulnerable time while they're on the street, and they're choosing to be there. Okay. But then again, I'm missing the part where this is connected to Britney Spears and her conservatorship and why we should support. Because let's put all the homeless people in conservatorships. Hell, put them in a camp. Just like, what's her name? Lima girl. Put them all together. Have them hang out together. What? Okay.
Current cycle that exists for individuals like this is not sustainable. Now, I talked about this at length on my Sean Ryan interview, if you guys are interested to go watch that. But basically, the way that it works is if you have somebody who is homeless, like my brother was for many, many years, they might be living on the streets. In certain states, they are allowed to camp out, have tents, have their big shopping carts, whatever it may be. But if they get into any kind of altercation or they are sleeping somewhere where they should not be, if, a police officer comes and pick them up, they might end up in jail. They might spend the night in jail. My brother spent many nights in jail over the last couple of years, but more often than not.
Yeah, and by the way, that's another issue too, right? There's a lot of incarcerated people with mental health issues, right? And Mirta, this is a great point. Horrible way to allocate taxpayer funds. We're playing left and right, but this girl's just using big names for clicks and views. I failed to see the connection to Britney Spears. And then she introduces this bill that Trump just signed, right? Huh? I hate the fact that I supported the Free Britney movement. What does that have to do with homelessness? Britney has enough resources to treat the things that she wants to treat, right? Like what's going on? There's a big miss point here that I'm not even understanding what it is.
These individuals get picked up and they are put on what is called a 5150 hold. And that is an involuntary hold at a mental health hospital. So they go anywhere from a few days to a couple of weeks, but that is not permanent housing. And they basically get checked out. They might be medicated. It's like a Band-Aid situation. They literally just go for a couple of weeks and then there is no transition. You are just pumped back out onto the streets. Here you go. Maybe go find your shopping cart. Go hang out outside of the Target. Like, that is the story that my brother and I, that my mom and I lived with for years as we dealt with my brother, as we lived with him in Los Angeles. Sometimes he would get referred over to a halfway house. Often those halfway houses require that you stay clean, that you not do drugs, that you take your medication. For a lot of people, they are simply not willing to do that. And
yeah, I mean, that's a real thing, right? And just based on a little bit that I'm hearing, she's coming from an angle of, I have a brother who has mental health issues. There might be some dual diagnosis going on, that type of situation, based on just what I'm hearing her say here. Okay. And I'm listening to what she's saying. I'm saying, okay, so it's just like that. I mean, maybe her brother was never offered case services, case management after he left. Maybe this is, and it's a big issue. I'm not debating that. Something does need to be done with what has been in place, because whatever we have in place is not working. Okay. But Britney Spears is not homeless. Truly. Right. So it's like, why are we, your brother is not Britney. Right. So I just, all right, let's keep going.
For many years, my brother was one of those individuals, and he would rather live on the street and be able to do whatever he wants and get money from the government and go collect his check and go buy the things that he wants at Whole Foods, because in California, your stipend allows you to go shopping at Whole Foods. He would rather do that than have to stay clean at a halfway house. And so now my brother is here in...
That's amazing that he had a stipend that allowed him to go shop at Whole Foods. I know some people that don't even get that. That's amazing. I'm not familiar with Brett. I know somebody said in the chat, don't you know who Brett Cooper is? No, I don't. I'm not familiar with her. Somebody left a comment and wrote me an email and said, Rabbit, you got to check this out. And I'm like, oh man, am I going to get mad? And then I watched and I was like, oh, Lord have mercy. We have to talk about this, people. Okay, now please note, I am not the end all be all of all answers. I don't have the answers to everything. Okay, please note that. But I think that a lot of us in the comments, if you're watching the replay, give me your thoughts in the comments. Let me know what you think, and whether you agree or don't, whatever it may be, because we're not always going to see eye to eye with stuff, right? I get that.
Tennessee, and we have a guardianship, and we are, doing everything we can. And it is just a heartbreaking situation, because again, the system is set up to help these individuals fail, and the private solutions are not any better. There are, of course, fancy, schmancy rehab centers. There are mental health facilities where people can go and check themselves in, like the one that Kanye and his
fancy schmancy rehab. Like I said, we're talking about regular people, or are we talking about Kanye West or Britney Spears? Who are we talking? Are we talking about us? Us? The working poor? Is that who we talking about? Okay.
His wife check themselves into, gosh, where were they? In Monaco. It's like, yeah, we're gonna go spend a weekend at a mental health facility. Those types of facilities do not take people with severe mental illness. They do not accept patients often with manic depressive disorder. They don't take people.
The ones that Kanye West goes to, I mean, again, he is paying. Kanye West is not at Skid Row, all right? Like I said, what comparison are we making here? And let me know what y'all think. Okay, you said I can't even afford to ship at Whole Foods. Shake my head. Well, the brother's got a stipend. What are we doing here? And why is she comparing this to Britney Spears or Kanye West or any of the celebrities? Tell me how. Let me know, Maria. How am I misunderstanding her? Please tell me. Literally, let me know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I just don't think she gets it. I don't know. But let me go ahead and hit play, okay?
People with schizophrenia and extreme bipolar disorder, anything like that. Like with what my brother deals with, he has very, very limited options. And the options that are available to us as a family are upwards of $20,000 a month. And they still require that that individual has some kind of motivation or drive to get better, to want to become a functioning member of society, to get a job, to live independently. And for a lot of the
when it comes to especially a dual diagnosis, especially with drug addiction, you cannot force people. It's been happening. We do the interventions. I get that, but that doesn't always work. You can't force people to, figure it out and get clean and stuff like that. Like, that is a uphill battle for people. Thank you. Nicole says someone cares about her brother. She shouldn't be speaking about Britney. She doesn't even know her. Nicole came in here. Thank you, Nicole, for the $9.99. Oh my goodness. I mean, I just don't know her brother, but her brother's not Britney and her brother's not Kanye. Right. And this does give me a little bit of the Lima vibes, because it was Lima who said, well, my sisters and, driving the sister situation. And then we saw how that all ended up. Right. I don't know. M7, thank you so much for upgrading your membership. Shout out to you. But I do want to hear from, I honestly, wholeheartedly. Okay, Maria says, from what I've heard so far in this particular part, she's saying what's available isn't good enough to actually help people. And even the fancy celebrity places, they're still a joke. Absolutely. I agree with that. What we have currently in our mental health system, it's not working, y'all. It just isn't working. I think a lot of us can agree to that, right? Where I'm struggling with her argument is even the fact that she's presenting that as an option for people, because she hit it right on the head when she said some of these facilities are up to $20,000. Insurance doesn't want to pay. We know this, right? But if you're a Britney Spears or a Kanye West, that's a little bit different. Okay? So you can't make those comparisons. But I do agree with you on that, Maria. And thank you so much for explaining that. Okay. Thank you. Minds y'all, thank you so much for the $5. Are we back to the days of Asylums? Well, she did put her thumbnail, make Asylums great again. For those with mental issues to solve the homeless problem, there you go, right there. It's disrespectful to talk about her brother issues. How does her brother feel about that? We went through this. Like, I would feel some type of way if I have this mental health issue and I got my family talking about it online. It is giving Britney Spears clickbait. Like, I think she knew she was going to get some kind of like something, honestly. But let me say this, okay? So it's weird because she ties in what that whole new initiative that Trump signed into office, and then Britney Spears, how she supported the Britney Spears movement and how she doesn't support anymore. And then she puts a picture of Britney Spears on her thumbnail and says, make Asylums great again. Y'all, it's crazy, but okay, let me let her go off, okay?
These individuals, that is just something that, again, they either cannot even fathom or they simply do not want to do because they are more comfortable in their situation living in this cycle of just being on the streets. And then the other option is just to bring this individual back, into your home and to care for them here. That also is unsafe. If you've lived with somebody with schizophrenia and a serious mental health problem,
you don't have a lot of options. And I hear what she's saying here. But this is not Britney Spears, and Britney Spears has never been homeless. Girl, you clickbaited that name. Okay?
And after I did that Sean Ryan interview, I feel like everything just broke open for me in a massive way because I received this influx of DMs and messages from people whose stories are so similar to that of my brother and that of my family, who feel like they have nowhere to turn, where there are millions and millions of dollars that are allegedly, being, funneled towards homelessness and funneled towards, fighting the mental health crisis. And yet we see none of it. And the system is completely unchanged. And our streets are filled with people.
How would you know that there's progress in that? Would there need to be no homeless people anymore? Would all the homeless people need to be living in the houses that, like that one guy that was saying, well, these people don't even they have their housing, but they don't want to live in the house. They want to live outside. What would be a marker of success in that? Less homeless people? No homeless people? What do we do? How do we marker that? How do we say that? Why do we say that? Where did she say? I don't think she said that. She never said she never said that. Who said that she supports PDFs? She never said that. I didn't hear that. Let's be careful what we're saying in the chat, okay?
Who are a danger to themselves and a danger to others, and make our cities literally look like things out of a zombie video game. Like, I'm sorry, that is what Nashville looks like downtown. That is what San Francisco looks like. That is what Los Angeles looks like. And so that is why I am in favor of reopening American institutions. And I know that that is a controversial statement, but I will tell you why I believe this after a quick break from my sponsors. Now, I want to tell you guys about Balance of Nature. As
Girl, gotta take a quick break from the sponsors. Oh my God, y'all. I hope you guys aren't giving me the thumbs down, okay? Okay. She said not the fiber supplements. I don't know why. Listen, if I was a big channel with a million, subscribers, I would probably be doing commercials for, fiber supplements, as I'm talking about the sad story of my brother and stuff like that. Like, I don't. All right, then. Balance of Nature. Let me try to hurry. Okay. All right. Shout out to her sponsors. All right. She's back right here.
Support Good Ranchers today. Again, that is goodranchers.com. Now, back to this incredibly controversial statement that I just dropped on you before moving into an ad read. Now, obviously, the American Mental Institute.
I think she notices how awkward it is to just go into an ad read while you're talking about your brother and the mental health crisis that's happening. But go ahead.
Institution system, it needs to be updated from the past. I am not in favor of the disgusting, abusive hospitals that were exposed by journalists in the 60s and the 70s. But the fact of the matter is, there needs to be some sort of infrastructure in place to house and help these individuals, get them off of our streets and out of our neighborhoods.
And I think that's the problem. I think that when you say, I am not in support of this kind of institution, yet you're opening the door for that kind of institution to happen. When you say you want an infrastructure and you want it this and that and the other, and then you want it to be X, Y, and Z, this way and the other way, you're kind of opening the door for that, girl. Like you are. Later on, you're going to hear people talking about, we love lobotomies, right? Like that might be the next piece of conversation that you're going to have, right? This is when you start talking this way, it lends itself. You cannot say you're not for this kind of institute. No, you don't want institutional abuse, but you want all these people to be in institutions, right? What sign her, you said what sign her up to work at what said institution for almost nothing, 18-hour shifts. Somebody must have gave her a lobotomy. Let me tell you something. I worked in the mental health, in various mental health treatments. They don't pay very well. It's a very hard job. Shout out to my mental health nurses, mental health workers, doctors that work in the institutions. It's a very, very hard job. Okay? Because it's like you're expected to figure it out. All right. Treatment plan after treatment plan. And I understand you don't give up on people, right? You don't give up on people. But to me, this almost sounds like that. Well, I'm for this kind of institution. We just don't want the abuse. Okay. But let's keep going.
And I personally would rather my tax dollars go to safely housing these individuals in mental health focused institutions than pouring billions and billions,
safely locking them up. Because remember that little clip that she played earlier? The guy said that they have housing, but they can't really house them because they want to sleep outside. So what does that tell me? That tells me that you safely want to lock them up. You don't want to house them. You want to lock them up. You want to lock people up. Yes, there's a difference. There's a difference between an asylum and rehabilitation. When somebody's rehabilitating themselves, there's hope for the person. You're contradicting, girl, but I think that that's part of maybe not having that education piece or that in her background. There's a difference, y'all. There really is. The people that are incarcerated right now, I bet you a huge percentage of people that are currently in our jails, our overly populated jails, have undiagnosed mental health issues. And some of the crimes that they have committed have probably been because of those undiagnosed mental health issues. You can't have it both ways. You cannot have it both ways because it doesn't work.
Of dollars into nonprofits that don't actually report what they're doing, that go to their executive salaries. I would rather it go to institutions than to hotel vouchers and shelters that these individuals do not want to go to, that they will not willingly spend the night at. Like, this is a matter of public safety. And again, I know that this is a highly controversial statement, even in the year of 2025, when our homelessness crisis is just, it feels like it is at an all-time high.
But what are we talking about? We're talking about mental health, homelessness, drug addiction. We're talking about various issues, right? And this is a fantastic question that I want the chat to answer. What is the solution to those who cannot function properly? What do you guys think? Put it in the chat. What, in your opinion, Maria is asking a very good question that I think is valid for this conversation. But I want us to make sure that we understand that we went from Britney Spears. We went from Trump to Britney Spears to this. And the problems that Britney Spears have, it's not something that any of us will likely encounter, right? In terms of like, you know, she's got her resources set, y'all. I'm gonna be honest with you. Whatever it may be, her dancing with knives is not my worry. Now, if she went out there and did something to somebody with a knife, that would be a different story. Just last week or 2 weeks ago, we had the shooting that happened in Midtown Manhattan. Y'all remember that? And then people, when we were talking about that, try to minimize, it's mental health. We can't say it's mental health. And then they went in there and they said, well, it was mental health, right? There's a difference between somebody trying to hurt a bunch of people or even themselves. The lady was dancing with knives. You can't compare this. This is two different things. It's a different situation. Okay? Thank you. Wait, Ticotit says, today's Rabbit Stream is sponsored by www.habitat.org. Please donate. It's a real charity for affordable housing. Oh my God, Ticotit. Thank you so much for the $4.99. Thank you guys. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you. And shout out to Maria. Maria's like, listen, Rabbit, I agree. Totally different situation than the rest of this, right? Because the things that Britney Spears went through, some of us will never understand, right? But I just had to say something. And shout out to the person again. I'm not going to, disclose their information, but they emailed me and they left me a dissertation in my comments about this. And I was like, all right, let me drag my feet and go see what's going on. I'm watching this and I said, oh my goodness. Then I started looking a little bit into her background. She's 23, very young, successful political commentator. I give her that. Okay. Listen, I'm over here. I can't even get my mic to work. The person that came in here and said, your mic is not working. And then 5,000 other troll accounts came under there. All right, I get it. Okay. But I had to give my 2 cents because guess what? Even though I don't have a millions of subscribers, I worked in mental health. I dedicated my life in social work for many years. So, and I'm 40. I could tell a 23-year-old a little bit about life in that realm. And maybe she might see things a little bit different, but she's also viewing things through the lens of her brother, going through that, right? You learn as you go when it comes to things like that. Minds, y'all, thank you so much for the 5. Getting them stable on meds is easy. The problem is keeping them stable. I am a believer in community mental health. I'm a believer in building a community that supports people that need help, right? Whatever that may be. But in order for that to work, we have to build a community. We have to have that kind of commitment from the community. We have to see action. But I've also seen situations where people are throwing money at nonprofits and there is no outcome. And that's bullshit. And I'm not okay with that. There's a level of accountability that has to be throughout this whole situation. It's not just one-sided. And it's not the end-all be-all. But I agree with you on this. You have to be able to get a person stable on their meds. That's easy. Get them motivated. There's a lot of motivational interviewing that you could do with a person in a treatment plan. There's a lot of things that you can do, right? but it needs to be consistent. Okay? And the buy-in is important. The problem is keeping them stable. Come up with a workable plan to maintain them after they've discharged. Absolutely. And the more support that you get in the community for the person, the better. The more purpose. Okay? A lot of you guys, let me give you guys an example. Oh, you are so right. The nonprofits here, there's so much that needs to be looked into when it comes to these nonprofits. I get it. A lot of you guys in the chat, I want you to ask yourselves a question. All right, let me ask you this question. All right, and you don't have to put it, but just think about it. What gets you to wake up in the morning? What makes you wake up in the morning? Every morning, what gets you to wake up? Some of you guys, it might be your loved ones, your pets, maybe a goal, maybe something that you have in your life, right? Something to look forward to. When somebody is truly struggling with psychosis or mental illness, there's no room for that. There is no room for that because there is no capacity to truly think about that, right? So when somebody's really going through it, you have to work with them to figure that out, to work through that and get them on that plan and whatever it may be, whatever medication it may be, and hand holding, whatever it may be, so that they can also have a reason to wake up every morning. Okay? You said coffee. Girl, you just read. Listen, baby bunny and my children, of course, but coffee is like second. And then, of course, the husband and all that other stuff. Okay, I get it. Usually going to pee has your bladder wakes you up, whatever it may be. Okay? But no, like, honestly, think about it. Think about it. And that's how it is for the people that are struggling. It's like, all right, we got to figure out how to build that support system for folks that are struggling. But it can't just be somebody who's 7 layers removed from the situation. And like I said, she's looking at it at the lens of what she sees through her brother. Clearly, she's been through some stuff, right? You could tell. Okay? No way in comparison to Britney Spears or Kanye West. Let's just be very clear. Okay, let's hit play on this.
And people, especially those at organizations like the ACLU, which I personally have a bone to pick with, they argue that institutions strip people of their rights and personal decency. But I would argue that if they are violating the law with their actions on the streets, if they are putting law-abiding innocent civilians in harm's way, rights have already been violated. They have already crossed the line, and some action must be taken. We can't just sit around and twiddle our thumbs and go, oh, we don't want to offend these people, even though they are naked and screaming at people and hurting themselves and attacking innocent individuals, squatting in our homes. No, I'm sorry. The line has been crossed. We have to deal with the situation. And just picking them up and putting them in jail or putting them in these temporary 5150 holds when they are just pumped back out into the streets, into the same exact system that doesn't actually help anything, that is a Band-Aid situation that only makes the problem worse. That is the least decent option.
It's the least restrictive. That's the thing, right? Putting them back, and I'm sorry, my battery just died. That's why I just got off camera, but let me fix it right now, guys. Dreamhouse, thank you so much for being a member for freaking 3 months. Thank you, love. Thank you. And again, thank you for supporting my channel. You guys are amazing. It's the least restrictive, right? And you know what? Fitz LA, thank you so much for being a member for 6 months. Shout out to you, love. Thank you. Thank you guys for supporting the channel. I appreciate it. It's the least restrictive. And I think sometimes people have this idea that, you know, and sometimes it's a lack of education that it comes to like mental health issues, right? There is no fix-all. Okay. When we need to start thinking about our mental health as a whole, in conjunction to our whole body, right? If you're depressed, your depression could affect your heart. Your depression could affect your breathing. It affects your sleep. It affects different aspects of you, right? Until we start really thinking about it that way, we're not going to get it. We're not. So if your brother is out there using substances to, deal with whatever the hell is going on, whatever may be going on, right? And he's an addict. It's a long life addict. Addiction is a long life disease too. Start thinking about it that way, right? People think that they could just fix people by hospitalizing them. Okay, here you go. You're done. Yeah, that's it. And that's right, Kim. Many people cannot afford mental health. They can't afford any of it. Now, hold up, guys. I got to put this in a charger. Give me 1 second, you guys. All right, guys. Sorry about that. I had to fix my, I have to charge things and kind of get things going because that's what happens sometimes. I don't know if my camera's going to work. Let's see. One more button. Ooh. Anyways, so as I was saying, is like, it's just maybe her way in which she thinks of things or how things are being framed that could very well just kind of, like, what is her expectation? Does she think that her brother is, if you're schizophrenic, there's no cure for schizophrenia, right? We know that it is a brain disease. It's something that affects people every day, and it's going to need lifelong, things in order to figure it out. So we have to understand that it's a little bit different when somebody's schizophrenic, and not all mental health issues and illnesses fit in one box. We kind of know this, right? So when she says this, I just have to kind of wonder, well, where, okay, girl, all right, I get it. Mental illness is the gift that keeps on giving. Yeah, you'd be surprised. All right, hold up. Let me hit play. Sorry, I had to stop because of the camera, but let me hit play on this.
Because the prison system and our current institutions, they are ill-equipped to deal with these crises. Like, the decent thing to do, if we want to talk about empathy and decency, is to have a safe environment where they can live and be cared for, where they can live out their days off the streets, and we know that they are safe and that we are safe.
Yeah, like I said, they are safe and we are safe. It's a way in which she kind of sets herself apart from that. It's just a language. It just gives me this idea that she has this like thought of like, well, let's put them all in a box where they're safe and we're safe from them, but where they're safe too. Us versus them, yeah. Okay.
Now, again, I know that I started with Britney Spears. And
Yeah,
you guys
you
are probably trying to like connect the dots. It's like, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia style where we have like,
yeah, no, they're not connected. They're not connected. So hopefully she connects them here.
Like the cork board, and I'm putting all these things together. Again, I promise that this is relevant. And It goes back to Britney because for years, people argued that Britney just needed, freedom. She would be healed if she could just have control over her money and her life and her decisions and where she went and who she married. But 4 years later, after she got out of her conservatorship, after the Free Britney movement was successful, we can obviously see that this was not the outcome that people anticipated, that this was not the case, that giving her freedom was not an actual solution. And this is similar.
What? What do you mean? What do you mean? Is Britney locked up? Did she K someone? Did she have another child? She wrote a book. Did she get married again? Is she dating? She's dating a felon. Oh, that's an issue. Y'all can't date felons. You know it. It's not. What did we expect her to do? See, that's the thing, is that we expected so much from Britney. Listen, her family expected so much from her. They took money from her. But we continue to expect things from her. And who said that Britney would be healed from being free? Who? This is the conservatorship. I mean, was that a guarantee that she was going to get her shit together, her mental health, and you weren't going to see her dancing with knives anymore? Huh? This is off, but okay.
To what groups like the ACLU argue about homelessness and mental illness. They propose voluntary housing and community-based support for
Again, Britney's not homeless, but okay.
addiction and mental illness. They are adamantly against cleaning up our streets, and they oppose laws that ban encampments because it infringes upon freedom and it's mean and it's unkind. People, in their mind,
It's not mean and unkind. Okay, girl, go ahead.
should be allowed to just do whatever, even if that means
Listen, they're going to start deporting the mentally ill. I don't know where they're going to deport them to, but I'm just saying, because it's giving that kind of energy, but okay.
doing illicit drugs on our streets, making cities unsafe, and posing threats again to innocent civilians. In fact,
Oh.
this is what their spokesperson
They're drug dealers too. They're posing drugs to innocent civilians. So now they're drug dealers? Lord have mercy. I'm telling you, man, you cannot make this up, but okay, girl. Okay.
whose name is Scout Katovich, had to say about Trump's recent executive order. She wrote, pushing people into locked institutions and forcing treatment won't solve homelessness or support people with disabilities. The exact opposite is true. Institutions are dangerous and deadly, and forced treatment does not work. Now, as somebody who has a family member with severe mental illness, I would say that treatment often does work. Scott, I don't know if you've ever dealt with that situation, but unfortunately, even though it is often difficult and unpleasant and it is heartbreaking to do, often that treatment is a lifeline. That is not dangerous and deadly. It is actually sometimes the one thing that can protect them and protect the people that are taking care of them. Now,
So she's got a conservatorship over her brother, it sounds like. Okay.
going on what she says next. We need safe, decent, affordable housing, as well as equal access to medical care and voluntary community-based mental health and evidence-based substance use treatment from trusted providers. I would agree. But we're spending billions of dollars on that, and it's not happening. But instead of investing in these proven solutions, President Trump is blaming individuals for systemic failures and doubling down on policies that punish people with nowhere else to go. So let's give them a place to go, Scout. After signing a law that decimates Medicaid, the number one payer for addiction and mental health services, quote, homelessness is a policy failure. Weaponizing federal funding to fuel cruel and ineffective approaches to homelessness will not solve this crisis. Now, ironically, there's a big part of this that Scout from the ACLU actually does get right. Homelessness is a policy failure. You are completely spot on. It is a massive policy failure, but it is one that Trump didn't do. It is actually one that your organization and your predecessors helped usher in.
Oh, Lord have mercy. Oh my goodness. You know, you got to kind of wonder where the buck stops. Where does the buck stop? All the time. I don't know, Texas Tornado. They say now, she's saying that they need to be locked up, you know, or not. Excuse me, that's not her word. She didn't say locked up. She said that they need to put somewhere. They all need to be put somewhere safely where people can be safe and they can be safe and everybody can be safe. Okay. Anyways. Dreamhouse, thank you so much again for the $5. Unless you're Britney Spears doc, it should be a crime to speak on this because of the damage it does to a personal life. I agree. Thank you so much for the 5. I appreciate it. Thank you. This was about the bill, but she brought it into Britney, right? So I was like, oh, thank you again, Dreamhouse. I appreciate the support. You said, yeah, but she brought this into Britney. That's why I was like, how is this even Britney related? And I still don't think she made the mark. She kind of missed it here. You know? Let me hit play on this.
Trump is not blaming the individuals who are living on the streets. Okay. Trump is not blaming the people who are addicts, who are dealing with schizophrenia, who do not have anybody to help them and have no place to go. He is blaming the system that the ACLU has been pushing and supporting for the last 40 years. For example, in the 1980s, you all started filing lawsuits against police units in cities who would arrest people for camping on the streets and move their encampments elsewhere. And you would sue these cities who started opposing encampments.
So should people live in the streets? Should people have the right to live on the streets? Let's talk about that real quick. Let me know in the listen, there is no right or wrong answer to this. I do have a question about that, right? Where I work, there was a lot of encampments. Okay, there was. And are they safe? No, they're not. But what should we do? Should people be allowed to live in the street? What if it's snowing? Let me know. And why are they living on the street? Some say that they're choosing to live there, right? You said, I don't care as long as no one poops on the sidewalk. No, but it's a real question. No? Nobody should be living on the streets. Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, I don't think Britney Spears will ever live on the streets. I'm just saying. Like, I had to put that out there because she missed the mark on this one, okay? But I do wonder. What do you guys think? You said, let me see. It depends on your view of the social contract. A long debated topic, yeah. According to her, it's a choice, right? There you go. That's right. Keep in mind that the minimum wage is in some places $7.25, or sometimes it just depends where, right? It all depends where you're at. And the rent is like what, 3 times that, 4 times that? There's that. The adults are responsible for their own well-being. It's a right of freedom we all have. We also have the right to help our fellow person as well. Yeah. A significant portion of individuals experiencing homelessness are employed, with estimates ranging of 25% to 60%. However, despite working, they often face challenges in finding affordable housing. Absolutely. Do you understand that this was a very difficult topic for her to even touch? Very simple, because she's not just talking about one social issue. There's multiple social issues that are happening here, right? There's the issue of homelessness, right? The housing part, rugs, addiction, mental health. There's so many moving parts. Look at this. Miss Toby said that it's almost $4,000 a month in her state to live there, to rent. So this is not like a black and white situation, guys. Like, this is a very complex situation. And the way in which she framed it in a 33-minute video was just not it. It just wasn't. We went from asylums, make asylums great again. It was like, oh, what? Okay. But again, she has a different view of it. I don't know. Let me know what y'all think. Okay, let me hit play.
Interestingly, these encampments only really became an issue soon after the institutions were closed in the late 60s and early 70s. So TLDR, what the ACLU has been arguing for 40 plus years has not worked. You have failed. Your entire system has failed, and yet you are still doubling down, and you are trying to blame everybody except yourselves. Now, the Washington Examiner wrote about this well all the way back in 1960, oh my gosh, guys, I can't even speak. 1996. There we go. I have my head on straight. You would read this article, guys, and you would think that this person was writing in the year 2025, but they are not. This is 1996. It said, following a successful lobbying and litigation by civil libertarians, mentally ill patients were released onto America's streets in large numbers from state hospitals and other mental health institutions. In the 80s, civil liberties groups sought and won judicial recognition of the right of the mentally ill to live as vagrants, free from any public supervision or restraint. Again, doesn't that sound like what we're dealing with now in 2025? Has the situation gotten any better?
Well, no. I mean, everything's gotten more expensive. Truly, I don't know how else to make it. Like it's all expensive, not affordable. Depending on what state. Miss Toby said her rent in her state is about $4,000 a month. Then we have gentrification issues. What are we talking about here? Lord have mercy. Let me hit play on this.
We fought for that. No, it is not. Now, this author goes on and gives examples of this. The most famous, saddening symbol of this legal battle was Billy Boggs, a mad New York City person celebrated at Harvard Law School for her legal victories. Boggs subsequently returned to a street life of squalor, defecating on public sidewalks. Other such symbols would follow. There was Larry Haug, a homeless crack addict on Manhattan's Upper West Side who became known as the Wild Man of 96th Street for the violent crimes he committed on the many occasions he was released from psychiatric hospitals. This cycle has been going on for years. In Washington, the 1993 death of 43-year-old Yetta M. Adams across the street from the offices of the Department of Housing and Urban Development prompted a sermon from HUD Secretary Henry Cisneros, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, for the need for more federal aid to the homeless. Adams, suffering from schizophrenia, died of complications from diabetes. she had repeatedly spurned help from a variety of social service agencies. The fact that such people are still reflexively labeled as quote unquote homeless, a term that does not even begin to describe their varying pathologies, is the result of deception at the heart and origin of the homeless rights movement. Now, I think that last story is probably the most important one. And it's just so, sadly ironic that she passed away right in front of the offices of HUD. And that their response was, well, we need more money. We need more social services. And yet the reason why she passed away was because she refused the help that they were offering her. The help that all of these different agencies were trying to get her. But because she was schizophrenic, because she was dealing with a severe mental illness, that this was not a straightforward thinking individual.
She should have been locked up. That's what she's going to say, right? She should have been locked up. Lock them up. 19 Squids 81. Thank you so much for being a member for 12 months. Much love to you. Thank you. Tinkletits, thank you for the $4.99. If homelessness is illegal, then make free housing. That's what I think. But in that situation, the lady possibly had housing, but she didn't want to go into the house. So for that specific situation, she should have been, I guess that's where she's going to go, that she should have been locked up, right? Okay.
Those social services, all of those tax dollars, all of the money put into those things, it did nothing. So everything that this author wrote is completely correct. Again, that was in 1996. Now, people at the time during his administration, people said that Reagan was greedy and cold-hearted for suggesting that people on the streets were dealing with severe mental illness, that they were often taking advantage of government assistance, that they were making a choice to live out on the streets when they had shelters and when they had housing that was available to them. And they were shocked and horrified when he would point towards mental illness. But by the time that he left office,
well, okay. Why would people want to live on the street if they have a house? And this is a complex issue, y'all. It is. Okay.
data was already on his side. He had been vindicated. And it is even more so decades later. And obviously, we can argue all day long whether it was right for him to reduce federal funding for homelessness initiatives all day long. I don't know if he diverted the money in the right way. I know that he was trying to do the right thing, but that does not address the root of the problem. It doesn't address the root that he very accurately pinpointed. Because giving somebody with mental illness freedom is not a catch-all solution. In fact, restricting how the state or organizations or family members can help and protect and often contain that individual for the sake of protection can often make matters worse for them, for their loved ones, for cities and communities at large. Now, back to Britney.
Don't be mentally ill, okay? That's what I gotta say. Don't be having no schizophrenia, because this is gonna be bad for you.
Britney Spears, I have no idea what was going on in her conservatorship. I have heard things. I'm trying to get some more.
Girl, wait. And she just told on herself. I have no idea what was going on with Britney Spears' conservatorship. But yet I could put her name on the title and put it on the thumbnail and talk about it. And make a comparison, a very flawed comparison. Y'all heard her, right? A very flawed comparison. So let me go back a little bit. She said it. I don't want to put words in her mouth. Okay, hold up.
The root of the problem. It doesn't address the root that he very accurately pinpointed. Because giving somebody with mental illness freedom is not a catch-all solution. In fact, restricting how the state or organizations or family members can help and protect and often contain that individual for the sake of protection can often make matters worse for them, for their loved ones, for cities and communities at large. Now, back to Britney Spears. I have no idea what was going on in her conservatorship. I have
no idea what was going on in her conservatorship. But yet I can speak on it. And
heard things. I'm trying to get some more sources because I want to learn more about it. I think I might have an in with some folks. I have no idea whether her father.
I'm a little concerned about who you would have it in with. I'm just going to tell you. I'm a little concerned. Wait, what the hell? Okay.
Was, abusing and exploiting that situation. I don't know if he was the best person for the job. I don't know the whole story, but I do know that her situation has not gotten better by unleashing her and taking off the protective gloves. I know
it hasn't gotten better. Yeah, I have no idea, but let me talk and let me project all these other things.
That just freedom and empathy and letting her do whatever she wants to do did not heal her. Because
it didn't? It didn't heal her. Okay, girl. All right.
the matter is a lot deeper. It is a much more serious issue, and neither has the situation gotten better on our streets. And it
Again, she's not on the streets. She's not on the streets, y'all. You cannot, this is why I named my thumbnail, comparing apples to oranges, two different things. You're all over the place, girl. I don't, she said her brother, she brought in her brother, and I think her brother is schizophrenic. They might have a conservatorship that they have going on. Okay. But like, what? There is no comparison. And Shannon, they just keep throwing her name in there. Oh my God, y'all. And shout out to everybody in the chat. I knew people were coming in hot when I was talking about this, because I knew people were going to be like, oh my God. Like Lilo says, Nichelle Nichols died under a conservatorship. There's a lot of people that have died under conservatorships. Thank you so much for the 199. Tinkleton says, if homelessness is illegal, oh, I think I read this. Thank you so much, Tinkle. And Squids, thank you again for being a member for 12 months. Shout out to you. Like, literally, what are we doing here? That's what it was. So let me put her name. You don't know about her, but yet she hasn't gotten better. So then how could you even assess that? How are you assessing that she hasn't gotten better? Oh, you're going through what you guys call fake news, the media, to make an argument as to why she's dancing with knives. All this is happening. I'm so confused by this. I don't know. But anyways.
It is time to have that conversation. It is uncomfortable. It is
Hold
controversial.
Up. Wait, what conversation?
And taking off the protective gloves. I know that just freedom and empathy and letting her do whatever she wants to do did not heal her. Because the matter is a lot deeper. It is a much more serious issue, and neither has the situation gotten better on our streets. And it is time to have that.
She's 23, y'all. She's 23. So she's young, okay? She's a young girl. She's 23. She's a very successful YouTuber, okay? We got to give her that. But let me hit play.
That conversation. It is uncomfortable. It is controversial. It brings up a lot of things in our past. It will be a huge fight, but it is something that is absolutely necessary. And I'm so glad that Trump is taking this step. He's going to get a lot of flack for it, but this is the right way forward.
Oh, yes. She knows nothing. Y'all listen, if that's your favorite commentator, that's completely up to you. I'm not here to tell you who to follow or anything like that. I just had to put my 2 cents on a situation that just seems so off to me in the comparisons. But y'all let me know what you guys think in the comments. Listen, I'm not always right about stuff. I really, really am not. But you said I'd rather, oh my God, not a Brillo pad. It's a dangerous narrative to put out there. Even her laptop annoys me, Lord. Y'all be nice in the comments. No, she did not, Lilo and Stitch. She knows nothing. Like, she started with Britney, and then she ends it with, I don't know anything about this. Let me go back a little bit so y'all can hear how she started.
So Britney Spears and Trump's latest executive order have a lot in common, and we need to talk about it.
Okay, hurry up. How did she do that?
So I know that comparison might shock you guys, but I promise there is a reason that I am making the connection here. Now, to give you guys some context, last week, Trump signed a new executive order called Ending Crime and Disorder on America's Streets. I believe that he signed it on July 24th. And to basically sum it up for you guys, this EO, it promotes the commitment of homeless people with severe mental health and addiction problems into like mental institutions and facilities. And it directs his team and the government at large to reverse rules that have been restricting this for decades. It also gives
Okay, let me move because she's just like, hurry up.
See this take shape. I think that all of this is incredibly positive. I cannot believe that a president has to oppose federal funding using our hard-earned tax dollars to oppose safe drug consumption
Okay,
on our
hurry up.
streets. I mean, that just seems like common sense, but I'm really grateful that this is something that he is doing. Now, of course, when this executive order rolled out, the media immediately lost its mind. But if they had been paying attention to Britney Spears and the Free Britney movement and everything that has transpired since then, they would know that some kind of executive order like this was coming and that it is a logical step forward. So let's dive in. But before we talk about that, make sure that you like this video and subscribe to.
All right, hold up. We gotta move on.
Basically, what you need to know is that the Free Britney movement was a mistake. I completely believe that it was a mistake. And I think that there is a lot that we can learn from it.
It was a mistake. She says, I believe it was a mistake. But then at the very end, she says she knew nothing about it.
Gloves. I know that just freedom and empathy and letting her do whatever she wants to do did not heal her.
Okay.
Because the matter is a lot deeper.
Okay, hold up.
You know, abusing and exploiting that situation. I don't know if he was the best person for the job. I don't know the whole story, but I do know that her situation has not gotten better by unleashing her and taking off the protective gloves. I know that just freedom and empathy and letting her do whatever she wants to do.
But you don't know anything about it. You just said, here, hold up. I heard you.
In the right way. I know that he was trying to do the right thing, but that does not address the root of the problem. When he would
Okay, I'm trying to hurry up.
For him to reduce federal funding for homelessness initiatives all day long. You know, I don't know if he diverted the money in the right way. I know that he was trying to do the right thing, but that does not address the root of the problem. It doesn't address the root that he very accurately pinpointed. Because giving somebody with mental illness freedom is not a catch-all solution. In fact,
and that is a very dangerous statement to make. Giving somebody with mental illness freedom. I have a mental illness. A lot of us are mentally ill. We might have something that we might struggle with, but okay.
Restricting how the state or organizations or family members can help and protect and often contain that individual for the sake of protection can often make matters worse for them, for their loved ones, for cities and communities at large. Now, back to Britney Spears. I have no idea what was going on in her conservatorship.
I have no idea what was going on in her conservatorship. Y'all, this was clickbait, political clickbait. Hold up. To then say, hold up, subscribe, yada, 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 yada. Okay.
That information. All right. So back to the story. Basically, what you need to know is that the Free Britney movement was a mistake. I completely believe that it was.
But she doesn't know anything about her conservatorship. Girl, you're lost on that one. You lost the argument on that one. Y'all go home now, okay? Look, I had to go back and then rewind it and then bring it. She lost it with that one. She did. Now, hold up. I want to see what the comments, because the comments in there are interesting, okay? She says, let's see. Please trace where the billions that supposedly went to the homeless actually went. The ACLU created more problems to get. So, and this is what I'm telling you guys. There are problematic nonprofits out there that should be looked into. I'm not opposed to that because I do believe that there are some really crooked nonprofits out there that do take from people that the money that's supposed to go to them. I'm not at all. I don't disagree with her when it comes to that. I do agree with that. It says, is anyone going to acknowledge that she has two different dates from Chris Angel, who was the real life wizard? Okay, I don't know what the hell that is. Britney is not your brother or family. Oh my gosh, Steeler Princess is in the comments. She is not schizophrenic. Why are you stalking her IG? She is twice your age. Your opinion doesn't mean squat. People are going in. Britney was sacrificed. Look at people are going in the comments on this. Lord, this is like crazy. Yeah, she does need to listen to her testimony, but you know what? Will she care? I don't know. All right, guys, I gotta let you guys go because I gotta tend to baby bunny. We gotta throw that away, honey. That's dangerous. I will see you guys later. Shout out to everybody who supported. I'm glad that I did this as a, I know, shout out to Steeler Princess. She went in there. She said something. Thank you guys for supporting the channel today. I'm glad that I did this as a live because there's something about doing this as a live and then having you guys react. And we don't have to agree. If you're watching the replay, let me know. Shout out to everybody. Listen, I support the Free Britney movement. I am a social worker, and I've been a social worker for, a couple years before that. I was doing community mental health, so I completely understand. And I don't think what we have is working per se, but I also don't think what this lady is saying is accurate. And yeah, that's how I feel. I will see you guys on the next one. Hit the like button, and you guys have a great night. Bye, guys. Bye, bye, bye.